In February 1995, a single 28-year-old trader lost $827 million, and the bank he worked for had survived every war, panic, and revolution since 1762. His name was Nick Leeson, and he was not a rogue mastermind on Wall Street, but a working-class kid from Watford running a futures desk in Singapore. The bank was Barings, 233 years old, banker to the Queen of England herself. By the time anyone noticed, his hidden losses were roughly twice the entire trading capital the bank had in the world. One man, one secret account, and one of the proudest names in British finance was sold off for a single pound. Hello, I am Sterling, and today I want to walk you through how a bank that outlasted Napoleon was destroyed by paperwork nobody bothered to read. To understand the shock, you first have to understand what Barings actually was. It was founded in 1762, which makes it older than the United States. Barings financed wars, bankrolled the Louisiana Purchase, and helped fund the British Empire at its height. A French statesman once called it one of the 6 great powers of Europe, ranked alongside actual nations. The royal family kept money there, and the name carried an aura of permanence that no ordinary bank could match. By the early 1990s, Barings was proud, old, and quietly hungry for the new profits pouring out of Asian markets. That hunger is where our young trader walks in. Nick Leeson started at the bottom, clearing and settling trades, the unglamorous plumbing of the financial world. He was sharp, ambitious, and good at the back office work that most traders found beneath them. Barings sent him to Singapore to help run its operation on the futures exchange there. On paper, his job was almost boring by design. He was supposed to do arbitrage, a low-risk strategy that profits from tiny price differences for the same product on 2 different exchanges. You buy in one place, sell in another, and pocket a sliver, and you are never really exposed to which way the market moves. Done correctly, arbitrage is about as dangerous as counting change. But Leeson had a second job that should never have belonged to the same person. He also ran the back office in Singapore, the department that settles the trades and checks the numbers. Stop and sit with that for a moment. He was the player on the field and the referee at the same time. He could make a bet, and he could also sign off that the bet was fine. In any properly run bank, those 2 roles are kept far apart, precisely so no single person can hide a mistake. At Barings, that wall did not exist, and almost nobody in London seemed to notice or care. Early on, small errors started piling up on his desk, the ordinary slip-ups of a busy trading floor. A trader buys when they meant to sell, a junior fat fingers an order, and someone has to absorb the loss. Barings had a normal error account for exactly this kind of thing. But in 1992, Leeson opened a second, separate error account and gave it the number 88888. In Chinese culture, the number 8 is considered deeply lucky, which is a bitter little irony given what it came to hold. Officially, account 88888 was a place to park small mistakes. In reality, it became a hiding place. Whenever a loss appeared that Leeson did not want London to see, he swept it into 88888. Because he also controlled the back office, he could keep that account off the reports that flowed back to head office. London saw a young star who seemed to print money and almost never lose. What they were actually seeing was a set of books with the bad news quietly deleted. The reported profits made Leeson a hero, and heroes do not get audited very hard. For a while, Leeson tried to trade his way out of the growing hole in account 88888. This is the trap that swallows so many. The belief that one more clever position will cancel the last mistake. His weapon of choice was a bet on the Nikkei, Japan's main stock index. He was not really betting the market would go up or down. He was betting it would stay calm, that it would hover in a narrow, quiet range. He sold options, which is a strategy that pays you steady money as long as nothing dramatic happens. It is like selling insurance and collecting premiums right up until disaster strikes and every policy comes due at once. As long as Japanese stocks stayed sleepy, the premiums rolled in and helped mask the losses underneath. So Leeson's entire recovery plan depended on one thing above all. It depended on the world staying quiet. The world had other plans. In the early morning of 17 January 1995, a massive earthquake struck the Japanese city of Kobe. The Great Hanshin earthquake killed thousands of people and caused staggering physical damage. It was a human tragedy first, and the market shock was only a distant echo of it. But for the position sitting in account 88888, that echo was fatal. The Nikkei did not stay calm, and it tumbled hard. Every quiet market bet Leeson had made suddenly turned violently against him. A rational person in that moment cuts the position, takes the pain, and confesses. Leeson did the opposite. He doubled down. He started buying enormous quantities of Nikkei futures, betting billions that the index would bounce back and rescue him. He was no longer trading, he was gambling to reverse a loss, which is the most dangerous state of mind in all of finance. To fund these giant bets, he needed cash, and lots of it, and fast. So he asked London for money, telling them it was needed to cover routine trading on behalf of clients. And here is the part that should keep every executive awake at night. London kept sending it. Barings wired hundreds of millions to Singapore to feed a position they did not understand. Each request was larger than the last, and still the money flowed. Nobody senior stock to ask a very simple question. Why does a low-risk arbitrage desk need this much cash just to stay afloat? The reported profits were still glowing, so the leadership assumed the golden boy simply needed liquidity. Some of the funds Barings sent to Singapore came to exceed the bank's own reported capital. They were, without knowing it, pouring their entire body of blood into a wound. Leeson kept buying, praying the Nikkei would climb back to save him. It did not climb. The losses in account 88888 swelled past £200 million, then kept going. By late February 1995, the hidden hole had reached roughly 827 million, about $1.4 billion US dollars. That figure was close to twice all the trading capital Barings had available anywhere on Earth. The bank was already dead, it just had not been told yet. On 23 February 1995, Leeson did not show up to the exchange. He had fled, leaving behind a note that reportedly said simply, "I'm sorry." He and his wife ran, first to Malaysia, then onward, trying to disappear. Back in London, staff finally opened up account 88888 and saw what had been buried there for years. The numbers were so large that at first they assumed it was a mistake. It was not a mistake, it was the whole truth, arriving all at once. The Bank of England scrambled over a weekend to find a rescuer, some larger institution to absorb the wreckage. No one would take on losses that could not even be fully measured yet. On 26 February 1995, Barings Bank was declared insolvent. A 233-year-old institution older than most countries was finished in a matter of days. Shortly after, the Dutch bank ING bought the entire operation for the symbolic price of £1. A single coin bought a name that had once helped finance an empire. Leeson was arrested in Germany while trying to travel and was eventually extradited to Singapore. A court there sentenced him to 6.5 years in Changi prison. While inside, he was diagnosed with colon cancer, an illness he thankfully survived. He was released in July 1999, having served a little over half his sentence. He later wrote a book, gave talks about risk, and became a strange sort of cautionary celebrity. But the deepest lesson here is not really about one reckless young man. It is about a bank that let a single person place the bets and also mark his own homework, with no one checking either. An institution can survive 233 years of wars and crises and still be undone in an afternoon by the checks it decided it was too clever to need. I am Sterling, and if watching an owl explain how a 233-year-old bank sold for £1 was worth more than a pound of your time, do subscribe to Money Mechanics, because the next expensive mistake is always somebody's, and I would rather it not be yours.